Thanks for checking out the Brad and John Show podcast. This segment of the show is brought to you by John Combest's book, Stalking, Harassment, Internet Trolling, A Guide to Recovering and Rebuilding After Online Attacks. It's a great reference if you've ever been the unfortunate target of a social media attack. It's available on Amazon. Just search John Combest. That's C-O-M-B-E-S-T, John Combest, and the book will show up in your search results. Now it's time for another segment of the Brad and John Show. Can you handle it?
It's me, Egbert, once again. I'm the new owner of this station. I went out and hired the best talk radio consultant, Jeff Allen from News Talk STL, and told him to hire the worst talent he could find. Jeff did exactly as I told him. Ladies and gentlemen, here are Brad and John.
Okay, John, we've got this last segment here, and I got to move through a bunch of things because I want to talk about, the last thing I want to talk about this morning is what happened a week ago today in the state of Missouri as far as radio is concerned. And
ooh, yeah. By the way, great rack you had there, Brad.
Thank you. Okay. A story that caught my attention yesterday was a story that, let me read you under the category of WNBA, and the headline of the story is Caitlin Clark's race, quote, huge thing, unquote, when it comes to her popularity, WNBA star.
Oh, God.
Okay, the Las Vegas Aces center Ajaya, I guess it is, a little, what is that?
Whatever.
What is that little thing? Exclamation. What is it? What is it called? The thing that...
Apostrophe?
Apostrophe, okay. Apostrophe J.A. Wilson. She's a 5-time All-Star, and she's hoping to lead her team to a third consecutive WNBA championship.
Yeah, that's critical.
Okay, guess what? However, the Aces' quest for a three-peat may be flying under the radar thanks to the incoming rookie class headlined by Indiana Fever's Caitlin Clark. The former Iowa star set all-time records for scoring during her senior season and led her school to back-to-back national championship appearances, okay? Even with the accolades on her resume, the narrative around Clark has turned into studies and media critiques about why she is popular instead of her game lifting up women's basketball.
Oh, I think I know where this is going.
Yes, here we go. Wilson, in an interview with the Associated Press, agreed there was a race element to the sharpshooter's popularity. Quote, I think it's a huge thing. I think a lot of people may say it's not about black and white, but to me it is, Wilson said. Quote, it really is because you can be top-notch at what you are as a black woman, but yet maybe that's something that people don't want to see. They don't see it as marketable. And so it doesn't matter how hard I work. It doesn't matter what we all do as black women. We're still going to be swept underneath the rug. That's why it boils my blood when people say it's not about race because it is. Okay, let me think about this for a minute. That's right. She's right. Serena Williams and what's her sister's name?
Venus.
Venus are white women. That's right. They're not black women.
Are.
They're
and
white women.
Beyonce is my favorite white artist.
Right. I'm going like, I can't, once again, she's dissing on this. She's turned it into a race thing because...
she's jealous. She's jealous of the attention that somebody like a Caitlin gets. So she's going to be mad about it, and she's going to play the race card. Of course. It's their MO, Brad.
John, stuff like this just drives me nuts because, once again, why can't... See, here's the problem I have with this, okay? I'm the media guy. I say that Ajaya, or whatever her name was, Jay Wilson, should be happy for this because Caitlin Clark has personally brought more attention to the WNBA than anity in the history of the WNBA.
Do you know how much it takes to make women's basketball interesting?
Well, but not only that. Remember, the very first preseason game they had, they sold out the place. And, go back and look at that team she's on and go back and look at the preseason game last year and compare last year's gate with this year's gate and essentially say, okay, fine. And once again, it wasn't because of the fact that Caitlin's white. It's because she set an all-time scoring record that she's set the record for both men and women for the most number of points scored by a basketball player in NCAA Division I, if I'm not mistaken. Is that the record? She has the record for the most number of points ever scored, right? So I don't get it. And once again, the interesting part of it is... No, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say real quick, I can do this in 30 seconds. To make our second wrestling reference here, Brad. In the 1980s, when Hulk Hogan came to WWF and was on national TV, he couldn't wrestle his way out of a paper bag. And I'm not saying that's Caitlin Clark in this analogy. But even people that were jealous of Hulk Hogan wanted to be on the same card as him in Omaha and New York and El Paso and wherever, because he brought people to the arena. He put butts in seats, and that's how you get paid. The more people that would watch WWF and watch Hulk Hogan, the more you're watching Don Morocco. And if you're on the card with him, you make more money, you sell more merchandise, the league does better. Instead of the league going out of business, the league makes more money.
It's my theory of as the tide rises, so do all boats. Caitlin Clark has been a tremendous asset, and hopefully it'll remain that way, to the WNBA. And to these people who are like, oh, it's because of race. Okay, it just drives me nuts. Okay, here's story number 2. Got to go through these real quick. Dan Quinn. He's the new head dude for the Washington Commanders, right?
Okay.
Do you know the controversy with this?
No, I don't.
He wore...
By the way, there'll always be the Redskins, but go ahead.
Okay, well, that's part of it is he wore a new T-shirt that I think was supplied to him by Nike, and it's a matter of fact, I've got a picture of it here. It's a picture of, it has the W, which is their logo now, and it has the Commanders underneath, and hanging from the point of the leading point of the W are 2 feathers. Okay.
I see it now. I just brought it up. Good for him. I love it. Good for Nike.
And essentially what he's saying is he's doing, we talked about this, the way, proper pronunciation, he's doing an homage to what the team used to be, the Redskins.
Yes.
People have lost their minds over this. They're going, oh, I can't believe he's doing this. He's making fun of the Indians. No, he's not. See, this is what I don't understand, okay? People pay all these big corporations. We used to have the TWA Dome, and you have all these goofy corporations that spend all this money to sponsor venues. Okay, so why is it that when you call the team the Cleveland Indians or the Washington Redskins, you're getting free publicity for your ethnicity? I mean,
of course,
it's like free media dollars, because what did TWA pay for the Dome? Then when they left, what did Edward Jones pay for the Dome? And the interesting thing was, it used to be the Edward Jones Dome until the Rams left, and now it's just the Dome because Edward Jones didn't want to sponsor the Dome anymore because there was no Rams there anymore. Here this guy's taking heave over the fact that he's got this shirt. Essentially he's saying, my interpretation of the shirt is, look, here's our heritage and here's where we're going. We're the Commanders now, but we used to be the Redskins. Let's not forget that we've had all these great seasons as the Redskins. We've had all these great players, and we've had all these great thrills through the years. We can't just wipe that away like it didn't exist. Get what I'm saying, John?
I get exactly what you're saying. Word to John Riggins, former running back. And the Kansas City Star on Friday, Brad, to your point, had a headline that said this: the Chiefs offend some Native Americans. Here's why this KC icon is a different story. And there's a statue in Kansas City called Scout, Brad. And Scout is okay because Scout is approved by local Indians, and that's okay. But the name Chiefs is offensive. Now, the difference, I don't know. I don't care enough to read the story. But some Indian/indigenous people, symbolism is okay, but a sports name team is definitely not.
I don't get it. And they went after the whole goof thing. You can't, chief's a bad word. Okay, you have fire chief, you have police chief, you have, chief narcotics investigator, you have,
yeah.
I mean, in the Army, in the Navy, you have master chief, you have chief.
Well, and master is itself racist.
Chief petty officer, stuff like that. Okay, I'm moving real quick. Yesterday, this one to me is really, remember I always talk about the law of unintended consequences?
Yes.
Did you see the story about what the UNC, the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill did yesterday?
No, I didn't.
They are defunding their DEI program. This is so funny. They're taking the $2.3 million of the diversity spending. They're defunding the DEI program on campus. And guess where they're putting the money instead? Are you ready for this?
I hope fraternity houses.
Public safety and policing.
Nice. That's beautiful.
They're taking the DEI money. Essentially, they're taking, let's be honest, they're taking the George Floyd money, and they're putting it toward policing. And the article goes on to talk about the fact that this is on the one campus, and supposedly they have numerous other, like we have University of Missouri at St. Louis, University of Missouri at Kansas City, stuff like that. They have the same thing. And this is the Chapel Hill, and I believe it's later this month they're going to have a vote on the entire state and university system. Now, get this. According to this, the diversity office has 12 staff members, including a chief diversity officer. We can't have, we're just talking about chief. Can't have chief. That's wrong. Chief diversity officer, according to its website. And to get this, the budget, which includes the $2.3 million amendment, will now be submitted to the University of North Carolina Board of Governors for the entire thing. And the vote to shift more funding to public safety comes as continued pro-Palestinian protesters on UNC's campus have resulted in several arrests in recent weeks. Now get this. The Budget Committee Vice Chair Marty Kotis said law enforcement has already been forced to react to protests, but they need more funding to keep the university, quote, safe from a larger threat. Now, here's the quote of the century. This is Marty Kotis, and he's on the board. He says, quote, it's important to consider the needs of all 30,000 students, not just the 100 or so that may want to disrupt the university's operations. Yes, Marty.
Yes.
Yes, Marty. Once again, screw those 100 students that are, well, not literally, but are, the heck with those students who are causing the problems. It's 29,900 students who aren't that we should be concerned about, right?
That's exactly right. I'm with you. I'm with you 100%.
Okay.
And I saw this quote in here from the chief of DEI. When the George Floyd money went away, did you hear what he said?
No, what?
He said, I can't breathe.
Get out of here. He didn't say that.
No,
okay.
But what we have to look out for, Brad, when this stuff happens, and especially when universities or companies change their titles, we need to just be vigilant about the fact that since DEI has become a dirty word, I would say justifiably so, standing for didn't earn it, these groups are going to change the name from DEI offices to something more innocuous publicly. And we just have to make sure that when we kill a DEI office, we're actually killing the policies and the funding. We're not just killing the name of a department.
Well,
you get what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying, because the analogy of that would be it was global warming, and then people go, well, it's got colder in this area of the country. Well, now it's global climate change, which encompasses everything. If you have one year, if you have a drought, and the next year you have floods, oh, it's climate change, that kind of thing. Okay, last but not least, we're rolling through a bunch of stuff. I am a 51-year broadcast veteran, okay? 1973, I walked into a studio in downtown Clayton for the very first time, 111 South Bemis, which is no longer there. It's now the county jail, and for my first job in a radio business, okay? I am dismayed at what's happening to the radio industry. And right now we have a situation where we have Odyssey, which is going through bankruptcy. Odyssey is the parent company for the local stations of KMOX and Y98 and 97.1 and KZK and things like that. The other company, there have been two major companies, two of the biggies in the top 10 they've been through Chapter 11. Now, one of them is iHeart, which owns 7 stations in the market. Cumulus is another one went through Chapter 11 bankruptcy. They are not in this market. They are in Columbia, and they're rumored, matter of fact, someone sent me an article the other day that there's some financial, something that John would read, some financial, guru, some egghead financial guy who has all these metrics, and he says he has a list of the top 5 companies that he says are going to declare bankruptcy. And in Cumulus's case, he claims they're going to declare bankruptcy again, which is very sad. Okay, which brings me to what happened last week. There was a chain of stations around the state of Missouri, big stations. Matter of fact, John has probably, it's funny, I saw this on one of I was going back and look at a couple weeks ago of your johncombest.com thing, and you referenced a couple of these radio stations, which, ironically, you're not going to be able to reference anymore. Because you know why?
Why is that? They're going out of business?
They fired the entire staff.
No, was it Quicks? Who was it?
Yes. Well,
wow, no way.
The company that owns them now, it's called Alpha Media, and I believe
Alpha Media, yeah, they own Quicks and Crest and Moberly. Wow.
Well, and they also own KTJJ to the south of us, which is they call the Boot, and some of these stations have incredible signals. Matter of fact, KTJJ is on a very high spot in Missouri, one of the highest spots in the state of Missouri to the south of us in the Farmington area. And they've got like a 1,000-foot tower. They're a 100,000-watt station. They are, as we call, a blowtorch station. I believe Cress is the same thing, 100,000-watt station.
Yeah, they're
Moldova.
huge.
And also the station in Lebanon, the entire air staff of all these radio stations, I think it totals about, with all the different AM, FM combos and stuff like that, I think it totals like 12 stations. Last Tuesday, the entire staff on all the stations, every on-air person, news, sports, weather, everybody, gone. They're all let go, all gone. So there's no local news anymore. And what's interesting about this is this has to do with and I could talk an hour on this because it's so frustrating to me what's happened. What's happened is, and this is a multi-front kind of thing, people go, well, radio's dead. Well, radio's not dead. The problem is radio has an issue where people think it's dead, but still it's very much alive. 90%, 92% of the adult population listens to radio at least once a week, which beats everything. The problem is radio does not get the revenue it used to get. And more importantly, these stations which operate in the Moberly markets and the Farmington markets and the Lebanon, Missouri markets, the problem is you go back 50, 60, 70 years ago, and it was Joe the barber, it was Bill the guy that owned the feed store, and Janie had the bakery store. Well, today you go into those markets and it's all national franchise. You go to Moberly and there's a Wally World and there's a Starbucks and things like that. And the problem with those companies is they don't spend any local advertising marketing. They don't spend any local marketing, and especially the more quote-unquote hip companies where they go, hey, we don't have to spend any money in the local market anymore because we'll do it all with social media.
Yep, that's right. We'll do Instagram ads and Facebook ads.
Right, stuff like that. But what you do is, and it's to a certain extent what's happened in Washington, Missouri, in that case, you have a couple of rich people who have too much money and they decide to come in and buy Hillerman's Nursery and buy Schulte's Bakery. And matter of fact, I sent you this article, and John, I'm a cheapskate. I won't pay $1 for the Post-Dispatch.
I read it this morning.
Okay, can you put that on your thing so I can read it? Because I said
it doesn't go on johncompass.com, but I'll send you the link.
Send me the link so I can read it. Essentially, what's happened is the Hoffmans come in and bought all these things. Originally, they were just going to be in the winery business in Augusta. And then they started buying a bunch of businesses in Washington. They bought Mid-America Coaches, which was locally owned for decades. They bought Hillerman Nursery, which was locally owned for like 55 years. They bought Schulte's Bakery. They bought Ziegler Sign. They bought all these companies. And now, guess what they're doing? They're selling them, all of them. Matter of fact, they bought 3 businesses in Defiance. If you know, through Defiance, used to be what they called the dueling biker bars. You know what I'm talking about there, John? You've gone to 94.
That was included. It was included in the post story I'm sending you.
Right. Well, they bought the dueling biker bars, the Hoffmans did, and they bought the bike rental, Katie Bike Rental right next. And I believe they've already sold the one sign. It already says it's Wenty's, which I believe is the same Wenty's that's over on Chesterfield Airport Road down in the valley. And now they're selling everything. And I don't think they're making money off it. I think they're just offloading it. This is the problem. What's happened all over the country in small to medium markets is because the big corporations come in and you got a Ross's Dress for Less, you've got a Five Below, you've got, if you drive from one end of Chesterfield Valley to the other, that's what you have in a lot of the smaller markets. You don't have Sam's Clubs, you don't have things like that. But you've got, now the new hot franchises with coffee. You've seen, out in your neighborhood, they call 7-3, I think it's what's called 7-3. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I've seen those like the smaller things pop up, yeah.
Are the scooters. The scooters have popped up all over the place.
Scooters, yeah.
But once again, guess how much money those places place locally? Zero.
None. Yeah.
None. Zero. So in other words, they're coming in, they're grabbing the local, ad dollars, but are they contributing to the community? Yes, if you look at the fact they're paying real estate taxes and they're paying, salaries. But once again, Joe the plumber and Ronnie's barbershop and Hillerman's Nursery, and I take that personally. Well, Hillerman's Nursery was an advertiser in this very radio station for the 25 or 24 of 26 years I've owned the station. Guess what? They don't advertise here anymore because you know why? Because the people and this is not a vendetta. They can do whatever they want with their money. But once again, They don't advertise locally hardly at all anymore because they're owned by a company that's based out of Florida, and they've got a whole advertising agency that they own. It's their in-house advertising agency, and guess what? I bet you almost everybody in their advertising agency is less than 30 years old, and what are they doing? Oh, we'll put some Instagram ads on. Everybody's on Instagram. Or, we'll do some Facebook pop-up ads, and God, drive me nuts.
Well, it's surprising because I was looking at radio sales jobs over the weekend, and Cumulus is still hiring somebody to do radio sales ads in St. Louis.
Cumulus is?
Yeah, I saw the ad. I didn't apply because I wanted to talk to you about it first.
In St. Louis?
But they're hiring somebody to do like an account manager to do sales in the St. Louis market. Yeah.
I don't have any stations here. I don't understand that.
I don't know. Maybe it's just one of those broad brush. I know some people that are doing advertising this summer. There's some campaigns coming up. I wish there was a news talk station with a strong signal that I could sell ads for. But maybe I'll talk to you about that after we get off the air.
God's dissing me again.
Or we could just listen to Olivia Rodrigo and Taylor Swift songs for the 24th time in the last 24 hours. But we'll see.
Oh no, you're missing one. You're missing the new one.
Oh, which one is that?
Chapel Roan.
Oh, yeah. We talked about her here, Brad.
Right. From Willard, Missouri, Chapel Roan. She's the new
it girl.
Yeah, the new it girl, Chapel Roan, who ironically was on KWMU on Saturday. Did you know that?
Yeah, well, I started linking to some political stories here in 2001, and I have had a lot of her content up. Yeah, Brad.
Yeah, okay. John, thanks for all the harassment you gave me this morning. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome, Brad.
John,
don't you love it?
During off-air, when we were in off-air, I said, John, boy, John, you're being tough on me this morning. And John says, go ahead and say it again.
I said, it's all a work. It's all pro wrestling, Brad. We're working together.
That's John's. John can describe any, you've got Einstein who does the E equals MC squared. John's theory is it's all pro wrestling, right?
That's right. And we will see you guys on Hump Day tomorrow, Tortured Politicians Department, 7:40 a.m. Mike Kehoe, the featured lyricist.
Thanks for checking out the Brad and John Show podcast. This segment of the show is brought to you by John Combest's book, Stalking, Harassment, Internet Trolling, A Guide to Recovering and Rebuilding After Online Attacks. It's a great reference if you've ever been the unfortunate target of a social media attack. It's available on Amazon. Just search John Combest. That's Combest, John Combest, and the book will show up in your search results. Now it's time for another segment of the Brad and John Show. Can you handle it?